Hey everybody, I want to talk today about a landscaping border. And borders are, you can use a landscaping border for all types of things, to draw in wildlife, for privacy issues that you may have. Um, it's just something that is aesthetically pleasing too. But it does take up a lot of space. But so as you can see here, I got some stuff planted. I got a white cedar tree here, and it's not an area that I'm not going to keep it really cleanly manicured. It's never intended for that. I've talked before about how if you want to bring in wildlife to your yard, that's not a good idea. If you want something to be really cleanly manicured, you're not going to have that much diversity in wildlife in your yard. Um, so right here, as you can see, there is some undesirable weeds growing out here. This is one of them. This is dog fennel. I'm just going to pull it up while I'm here. So what I'll do is that every so often I'll walk down the line and I'll identify undesirable weeds and I'll pull them up. It doesn't really take much of my time. It's something that we work on here and there. It's effective. So as I do that, I'll just pick and choose. If there's a tree growing in here I don't like what it is, I'll move it. I'll get rid of it. Okay, so as you can see here, this is a bald cypress tree, and it's part of my landscaping border as well. This is another dogwood tree that's just volunteered, and it is pretty close to this tree, but dogwood trees are pretty short-lived trees, generally speaking. I'm not that worried about it. This cypress tree here, it'll be here. This bald cypress tree, it'll be here hundreds and hundreds of years, and this will die. I don't usually have much luck with dogwood trees. In this area, something about it. I don't know. They just usually don't do well. But there is some other weeds growing down here, particularly this. This is looks like Virginia creeper. I don't want it growing in here, so I'm just gonna pull that out. But if a desirable tree or shrub volunteers right here, I might just leave it. And as over time, this will become more and more natural, and it'll become more and more a design to what I want it to be. So one of the things I wanted to show you on this border, when I was talking about the wildlife, this is a wax myrtle bush that I planted here a couple of years ago. As you can see, it's really taken off. It is a very valuable resource for wildlife. Get a picture up here. You can see up here there's a bird's nest. That's a mockingbird. And I don't know if you can see it in the video, but you can actually see the little bird's mouth sticking up there. So, these plants that I've planted just in the last couple of years are already paying dividends for the wildlife in the area. So that's something to think about. This is if I had a wooden fence here, there's no wildlife value. There's none. And there's no. It's just not as good for the environment. So what we have here is a river birch tree, and this is a part of my border. This is a tree that's good. It has a lot of wildlife value to it. Good fall colors. That's something I thought about when I planted my border was, what kind of fall colors is everything going to have? over here I have a Virginia pine, and I wanted to have color in the winter, and the only way to have that is to have evergreen trees. So I went with a Virginia pine. Doesn't get very big. It's got these little pine cones on it that do attract some wildlife. Now, if I look down here, there's a couple of things I want to show you. Over here, more of those undesirable weeds. But I have something volunteering right here, and I'm not 100% sure what that is right now. It kind of looks like beautyberry, and I'm hoping that's what it is. But I'm gonna keep an eye on that. I noticed it the other day. Over here is a wax myrtle that's volunteered, and I'm probably going to leave it. You know, it's something that's easily trained. Now right here, I just spotted this. This is Chinese privet, and I don't want that down here. This is very invasive. So I went ahead and pulled that up while I was down there. But it's just something that you kind of mess along with. You can work at it at your own pace. Nothing wrong coming out here when it get in the winter months and making some changes, getting rid of trees and stuff that you don't want, trimming up the trees. I kind of like to refer to it as organized chaos. That's what it is. I have a vision in mind for it, and I'm planning it, but at the same time, I'm letting nature throw me curveballs and see where it takes me. It doesn't cost me that much because nature's providing the different plants that are volunteering in here, whether it be from birds or from just pollination and trees and plants seeding out. So this will be an excellent place for wildlife. I mean, they're seeding it themselves. You think about it. You got birds are planning their own wildlife area because they are eating in the woods and the forests and the fields nearby, and they're bringing what they're eating back here, and then they're planting it here, and so they're making their own environment as they go along. And I have some say in that because I don't want some of the undesirable type trees and plants that are invasive and can be harmful to native species. But a natural border is less work. It takes a lot of work. If I had a wooden fence here, I mean, yeah, it's going to be more secure. I'm also going to have to stain it. I'm going to have to repair it as it breaks. These are things that are going to have to be taken care of. All the way down, kind of so where you can see how it goes all the way down. As I planned it, I thought about where the sun is in relation to my house, and what parts of the day I wanted shade and where I wanted shade. And then I thought about the seasons and where, you know, if it's an evergreen, where's it going to be at and what season. These are all important things to think about when you're planting something. And in it is another thing that you need to think about is if you're thinking about doing a border, a wildlife border, is survivalist uses. Okay, always think about that when you're planting something. What are some of the survival uses you can get out of it? All right, so with talking about survivalist decisions when you're planning your border, think about the uses the uses you can get out of these things. For instance, river birch trees, like I have here, the bark on them. Get a shot of the bark on it. You can see the bark on it is flaky, and you can actually use that bark to start fires with. So, you know, we live in a very uncertain world. Things are happening all the time, and I mean, who knows what the future holds? But if we go through a period of time where we don't have electricity, I think about, okay, how am I going to heat my house? Well, I have something here that I can use to start a fire. The bark on that tree will come off, and then you can start a fire. It also has uses as if you chop into a birch tree, it has this very prominent fluid that just comes spilling all out of it. Well, that's used as a tonic. You can use that for to drink. It's supposed to have a lot of health benefits to it. So these are things that I thought about when I was doing my border. As I plant anything in my yard, what are the survivalist uses I can get out of it? I showed you that white cedar tree earlier. White cedar is one of the most valuable timber species on the east coast of the United States. It is extremely durable. It doesn't rot. It's a very easily milled wood that can be used for all kinds of things. So I think about all that kind of stuff when I'm planting different things in my yard, and that's something for you to consider. All this information that I got from books, and I showed you a book in one of my earlier videos, and I'll put a link in this video to that video so you can look it up. But there's also man, there's so much information online. I mean, you can look. The key is identifying the plants and the trees first. If you can do that, and you can learn to do that consistently, you can find out anything you want to about it nowadays. It's just so much information. But I hope everybody's doing well. Y'all stay safe, and we'll see you soon.